Who do you
Okay.
think finishes in fourth place this year? This is
Well,
only a binding answer if it is incorrect.
okay, perfect. So I'll just go with the Commanders because I think that they are improved. I think their talent is improved. I think Sam Howell should be a better quarterback. I think Eric Bieniemy should be a better offensive coordinator. Jack Del Rio had that defense turned around. They played as a top 10 unit last year. But I look at the rest of that division and I think most of the other teams have gotten better too. And to me, it would be between the Giants and the Commanders finishing in last place. And frankly, at this point, I've got a little bit more faith in what the Giants are doing and what they're putting together than I do with the Commanders. So, I mean, the Commanders could still be good. They could be, an 8-9 win team, but I think that still may land them in last place in the division.
I hate to be a prisoner of what happened last year, but it's hard to forget what happened last year. I think the Commanders could be significantly better. There's a great vibe around the team. I'm looking at the over-under win total 6.5, 1,300 plus 1,300, obviously, to win the division. I feel like between the Cowboys and Giants, one of them is going to regress. I just feel like it's going to happen. But the Giants have gone out and made moves aimed at getting better. So between the two, the Cowboys are likely to regress. I'll still put the Commanders in fourth. I want to pick one of the other teams, but the division is just too good. All right, so who do you have in third?
I still have the Giants in third. And, part of that is because the Eagles are a juggernaut. And frankly, I think the Cowboys are going to still be pretty good this year. And so, again, it's not like I'm trying to insult anybody because I think that this probably is the best division in the NFC. However, somebody's still got to finish in third place. And, when you look at the other two quarterbacks that are, the teams above, Daniel Jones would rank in third. So is Daniel Jones going to take that next step forward in the offense, right? Where you think of him as a more dynamic passer. That's going to be one of the keys to the season for the New York Giants. Is Saquon Barkley going to go out there and replicate what he did last year and have a really, really strong year? That's going to be one of the keys for their offense. I think Wink Martindale is going to do a great job with that defense. I don't think there's any question about that with his history, but I think that still only puts them at third place in the division.
I think the Cowboys will be in third place. And the thing that
Ooh.
clinched it for me is this recent thing with Trey Lance and how it all happened so quickly and how it kind of disrupts the whatever they had going. I just think they're trying a little too hard. I feel like they're holding the rope a little too tight as they pull, and Mike McCarthy's got extra duties now, and I think he's under more pressure than he would admit and than most realize. I feel like in a great division like that, it adds up to third because the Giants went out and they clearly made the team better. Darren Waller, I think, is going to be incredibly good for them this year if he stays healthy.
If he stays healthy.
So I think it's going to be the Cowboys in third place. Let's take a break. We'll tell you who we think is going to be in second and first place, although you can probably discern it from what we've already said. We'll do it anyway. PFT Live continues right after this. All right. Myles and I both have the Commanders in fourth place when the dust settles on the NFC East. I went with the Cowboys in third place. Myles went with the Giants in second place. You probably can figure out where it goes from here. Myles, who do you have in second place?
I actually have the Philadelphia Eagles in second place, and it's for one reason and one reason only, and it's because nobody has won the NFC East for 2 seasons in a row since Andy Reid's Eagles last did it in 2003 and 2004. And that was actually the end of a string of 4 straight division wins by Andy Reid's Eagles. And so when you are the king of the East, you get everybody's best shot. It's just something that seems to happen every single year. So based on history and based on, everybody knowing that the Eagles are one of the great teams in the NFL, I think that somehow, some way, they might take a step back. They do have 2 new coordinators too. We got to think about that, right? It's a new defense with Sean Desai. And yeah, they're keeping a lot of the same things, but it's going to be a new, different guy calling it. And Brian Johnson is going to be the offensive coordinator, and he was the quarterback's coach, got elevated, that natural progression. And I don't think that means that the offense is going to take a step back, but I just think based on the history of that division, and, there are some changes, Eagles falling into second place.
Wow. Well, I've got the Giants obviously in second place because I was wrestling between them and the Cowboys for third place, so I kind of tipped my hand there. I'm surprised that you're going with the Eagles in second place. Hey, 20 years later, it's time for the same team to win the division in consecutive years. And the Eagles, I think, are far and away. I'm going to do both of mine here in the same thing, and you've basically done both of yours. Eagles first place, Giants second place. Now, I remember when the NFL first instituted that 7th playoff team per conference. It dawned on me at one point, probably while sitting in this chair doing PFT Live, in theory, you could have a division that sends all 4 teams to the playoffs. Could happen. We've seen 3 teams in the days when there were only 2 wild cards. We've seen that happen. Well, now there's 3 wild cards. In theory, you could get all 4 in. The problem is, as they cannibalize each other in that 6-game home-and-home thing they each play, that makes it hard to compete with, because you got to have a 4th-place team who's better than the 2nd-place team in 3 other divisions. That's not going to be easy to do, but it could happen. And all 4 of these teams, wasn't there a period of time when they were all 4 above 500, like fairly deep into the season? That could happen this year.
It could happen this year, but there are enough teams in different divisions where, I think like Seattle, in the NFC West, right? I think that they're still going to be a good team, between the Lions and the Packers and the Vikings, like what 2 of those teams could make it. The NFC South, I think that will probably only send 1 team, but yeah, because of all of that, I think it will be tough for all 4 NFC East teams to make it. But I do think that the Cowboys are in a position to win this division. And, you said that there's more pressure on Mike McCarthy. I think in some ways it might make him able to coach a little bit freer when he has his pulse directly on the offense and calling plays and, being in line with Dak Prescott every single week. I think that in some ways could help the Cowboys.
Well, we'll see. It feels like an up or out year for Mike McCarthy in Dallas. And by up, I mean get back to the NFC Championship game for the first time since 1995. You make a good point about Seattle, though. Between the 49ers and the Seahawks, I can't imagine one of them having a disastrous season and opening the door for a team like the Commanders if they're in 4th place in the NFC East to get to the postseason. The rest of the conference, who the hell knows what's going to happen? I know what's going to happen now. We're going to take a break. When we return, we'll wrap up this Tuesday edition of PFT Live. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.